Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, and welcome to the first video of 2024. And we'll start off with a real banger. That is the RN Leonardo Da Vinci. And just like the original, this is a piece of art in every aspect, because I do not understand how this premium happened to be at 6.3, and it is such a well-deserved addition for the Italians. It is similar to the RN Andrea Doria, if you have already experienced that in the tech tree, but it's a different class. The RN Leonardo Da Vinci is the Italian Conte di Cavour class in its 1915 configuration at rank 5 at battle rating 6.3. And it has 13 very powerful 305mm guns. 13, that is the highest count of any capital ship so far, and even historically I cannot really recall that many ships that have more guns than 13. And you have a decent reload of 30 seconds. And let me just give you the TLDR. I like this ship, I recommend it. It's probably the best deal that you can get for any premium battleship, and with it you have also a really strong 6.3 lineup together with the RN Dante Alighieri and the before mentioned RN Andrea Doria. So what makes the ship so good? Is it the AA? No, it barely has any. I mean, you have 13 76mm guns, but that's about it. Is it the armor? Well, it can take a hit here and there, but you shouldn't really count on it, so it's also not what makes the ship count. Is it the speed? It looks faster than it is. It has only a top speed of 40 kilometers per hour, so that's not really that amazing. Now, is it the secondaries? Well, I think that they are kind of an improvement over the before mentioned RN Andrea Doria, because the Andrea Doria secondaries are 16 152mm guns that have a crippling 17 seconds reload, whereas the RN Leonardo Da Vinci has 18 120mm guns, and while they fire faster, they still have a relatively long reload for their caliber of 10 seconds, but they only have also one shell type, so that's also not something amazing. It's a bit of an improvement, quote unquote, if you will, but that's about it. Is it the torpedoes? Well, you have some 9 450mm Whitehead torpedoes with explosive mass of only 110 kilograms. That's not even cracking the torpedo defense system of a light cruiser. It might help you in a brawl with other dreadnought, but like, you do not have enough of them, and they do not have enough destructive power to make the decisive difference. And if you're in the range of if the enemy is in the range of your torpedoes, you're very likely in the range of their torpedoes as well, and you don't have a torpedo defense system either. So there is that. Now, what makes the ship good? Well, you have 13 big caliber guns at 6.3, and you have two shell types that really make it worth. The stock round, if you will, is the 305mm SAP round that has 31 kilograms of TNT. Now, that's not amazing, and it's not huge like the Russian, the Japanese, or the German high caliber guns. The Russian 12-inch guns on the Marat, for instance, that has 55 kilograms. Then we have almost 69 kilograms on the German Bayern class, just to give a little perspective here. But versus cruisers, which you mainly will face thanks to your low battle rating of 6.3, that does the job. And so the penetration is also not really a big problem. 418mm at close quarters, and at 5 kilometers 314, and at 10 kilometers still 224. So this is a nightmare for cruisers and to a certain extent destroyers if you manage to hit them. Together with your secondaries, they do not really have a good time. But The outstanding shell is, if you will, a quote-unquote tier 2 upgrade, which you have because it's a premium, and that is the 305mm APCBC round. That's its name. Now, it has only 5.66 kilograms of explosive mass, and it has a fuse delay of 0.035 seconds. The best fuse that I could find is the one on the Kronstadt with 0.05. However, you have an outstanding, absolutely bonkers penetration of 673 millimeters at point blank range. At 5 kilometers, it's 521. And at 10 kilometers, you still can penetrate 387 millimeters. And the penetration value that you have at 15 kilometers, which is 303 millimeters, is that a lot of battleships at that battle rating would love to have at 10 kilometers. So you have serious pen, and that is good. That is really good. There is nothing that I haven't cracked open yet. Obviously there are limits. If something is angled, you hit just at a really weird spot, whatever, at long distances, yeah. But the raw penetration value of those 12-inch guns is crazy. And eventually I'll make, a ship review at some point where we really crunch the numbers. But let me tell you, that is crazy. 673 at 6.3, that's amazing. And that allows you to be effective at long range, to be effective at short range, and to crack open all the nasty ships. For instance, like this Alaska. Good job. And I love this. And it's such a refreshing experience to play this ship compared to the USS Mississippi, which was an absolute miserable experience. Maybe that is kind of, diluting my objectivity here, but I also have to say I had a similar experience in the other Italian dreadnoughts, the RN Dante Alighieri and the RN Andrea Doria, when it comes to the main battery. So let's just summarize. This is a slow, not so well protected dreadnought, and it has no AA. The torpedoes are not that great, the secondaries are not outstanding. It's all about the guns, and that's actually all that I need, right? But there is one thing about the armor that I want to highlight. First of all, let me just give you a rundown of that armor layout. It's an all or nothing armor scheme. So you have additional bow and stern plating. The main belt is strongest just below the waterline in the region of the middle turret with 250 millimeters, and around it is 230 and 220 millimeters for the elongated belt for the front and rear magazines, and also the upper belt. And then it gets weaker and weaker, 130 millimeters and 110 millimeters the upper you go. Then you have several decks. You have the first deck in the middle is 30 millimeter, then the main deck is also 30 millimeter, and then it goes thinner because there is a middle deck of 18 millimeter which runs across the entirety of the ship with just gaps for the exhaust and the barbettes. And then you have in the middle of a ship a really weak armor plating of only 12 millimeters, which to the sides gets into a 20 millimeter very steep turtleback, which together with the main belt and the coal bunker and the distance seem to hold off a lot of damage, surprisingly so. Then there are also the barbettes with 240 millimeters on the side, but they get worse protected the lower you go into the ship, where then they are only 130 millimeter above the main deck. And the turret faces have 280 millimeter with a bit of angling. So this ship can take a hit or two. It's not as stubborn as a German dreadnought, I would say, of the same battle rating, but it has therefore better guns. And it might sound boring, but it's only the main guns that matter. And you have the volume in a salvo to make the hits count. And I think it's a decent exchange for more penetration, but having less bursting charge. And while more bursting charge isn't bad to have either, if you compare it, for instance, to the Kronstadt that has a whopping 18 kilograms with the same caliber shells, that's more than 3 times as much. You see also a very different effectiveness. But you know, that's 2 battle rating steps up. And while I do not claim that you can crack open a Scharnhorst, you can inflict serious pain. And if you work together with other ships, you can down them. And I think that this is a good support battleship. It's something that can also prevail in a 1 versus 1, and it's probably the best premium deal out of all the premium battleships that there are. Especially if I compare this with the German 6.3, the SMS Nassau, I don't think that this ship has any business at 6.3. Maybe it will get up tiered in the long run, but who am I to judge? And honestly, I love the ship. I can recommend it. It's fantastic. It is even better than it looks, which is already pretty good, and it deserves the name Leonardo da Vinci because it's an Italian piece of art. And having said that, that's it for me today. So let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree. Have you played against it or with it? And please give this video a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more. For you, it's just a couple of clicks. For me, it means the world. And as usual, we will see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.